An old, bitter miser seeks redemption on Christmas Eve. Also, Gonzo's there. It's the Muppet Christmas Carol! 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the Ghoul School, not a creature was stirring. Except for the entire student body and teaching staff, omitting, of course, Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen, and Rudolph. Now, please join me in bringing good tidings to your holly jolly substitutes.
Ho, 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 everybody, and welcome to another period at the Ghoul School. It is a special Christmas Eve episode. I am one of your three hosts, Brian, Santa's big helper, Stork.
He's big this time.
Yeah.
And I am Noland, naughty or nice, Vinoy.
And I'm Caroline, the ghost of podcast present night.
So we're
I'm haunting this podcast currently as we speak.
So we are doing quite possibly the scariest movie that we have covered on this podcast so far.
Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
Mortifying.
It traumatized Caroline as a child, right?
Yeah, honestly, if you would have asked me at age 5 to 7 what the scariest movie was, probably this one.
Yeah, so we are doing...
All right, now justify yourself, Brian.
Well, let me tell you what we're doing first, and then I will defend myself. We are doing The Muppet Christmas Carol. Muppet
Notice
singular.
that it's not possessive.
Yeah, it is the singular. It is a Muppet Carol. It is not belonging to the Muppets.
Right, they did not purchase it.
So this film is wonderful. It is also incredibly not a horror movie. But here is my reasoning behind why it falls under our jurisdiction and under our course syllabus. So I think while it's not a horror story, A Christmas Carol is a ghost story. And somebody could probably fight me on this, but it might be the most well-known ghost story.
No, I totally think you're right on that.
Yeah, I think it's up there for sure.
And I think that makes it a massive milestone story in, like, the pantheon of Ghoul material. I don't think all Ghoul stuff, and we've proven that already on this podcast, like last week with the Munsters, where not all Ghoul material is designed to terrify. And I think that A Christmas Carol is a fascinating angle on a ghost story.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a ghoul in the movie. The movie's gonna be in the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, this isn't a podcast. This is us teaching a class about ghouls. And so if
you will be graded.
Yeah. Everyone
on your
listening
reviews
right
on
now,
iTunes and Spotify.
yeah, will be graded.
You missed my gigantic wink because this is an audio medium.
That's true.
But there was one.
I did see the twinkle in your eye that
Thank
the
you.
listeners will have missed.
It's that Christmas spirit, you know?
Caroline, explain why this terrified you as a child.
Oh my god. Okay, so I was afraid of a lot of things as a child. I was afraid of the map from Dora the Explorer.
Well, that is fair. That makes sense.
But, like, every time he finishes a song, he, like, comes at the screen and I thought he was gonna eat me.
Well, because he would.
Yeah, I mean, he starts screaming at you, and then he starts approaching the screen.
Yeah, and
he's
he's
big,
saying
shit-eating grin.
Yeah, he's saying that he's gonna kill your dad and like all that stuff. Like we've all seen it, and
I was afraid of so many things as a child, and one of them was this movie. Even though I loved this movie, I would still watch this movie knowing full well there are several parts that would make me run out of the room as a child. The biggest one of those being the door knocker that comes to life. I talked about this in last week's episode when we talked about the monsters.
For some reason, you have a door knocker thing.
And we are two for two on door knockers.
Here's the thing. It's a doorknob and then it screams.
Yeah.
So that, to my 4-year-old brain, says, oh God, oh no, why
Don't
is
be
it
opening
alive?
doors.
Right.
Yes. It was just that it yelled at me. It was like a jump scare. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
was a little afraid of Marley and Marley, but that was more when I was young,
Okay.
just because they had chains.
They are also
Marley is literally just Brian and me.
Yeah, or
That's very true.
On a
Statler
good
and
day.
Waldorf. Like, I like the idea that you'd be watching, like, the Muppet Show or whatever, and Statler and Waldorf would say their little quips, and you'd be like, ah!
But, like, they were supposed to be goats. I was very afraid
They're supposed to be goats? Did you just say goats?
They were
I
supposed to
said
be goats. That's
ghosts.
something people don't know about.
But I was very afraid of death in the afterlife when I was a child. Still am, but, you know.
Yeah.
Me too.
I have medication for that. But I was also terrified of the puppet design for the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come.
Yeah.
Which I think
I'm sure we
everybody
will discuss extensively.
Yeah.
I think everybody would say that saw it as a child.
It is...
Even though this movie horrified me,
Right.
it is still why, to this day, I want to be a career puppeteer. And the reason why I build Muppets, and we watch a lot of Muppet material in general in
Right.
my house. Like, the amount of VHSs of the Muppets that we have is kind of ungodly. We still have them. But somehow, through it scaring me, I still saw the merit of how well made this movie is. Like, it's an absolute classic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's Michael Caine as Scrooge. It's...
Yeah.
from what I remember, it's a really stellar performance. Like, and,
It's
I'm
and
spoiled.
we'll get into it. But there was one other thing that I wanted to kind of mention, which is a recent development involving this movie, which is the fact that, so for anybody who doesn't know about this whole weird situation with editing the movie, the song "When Love Is Gone," which is sung by Belle during one of the flashback sequences, it was dropped from the theatrical release over the objections of Brian Henson at the request of Jeffrey Katzenberg, who thought it was either too sad or too boring for young children, which doesn't make any sense, but anyway.
I mean, it's just, it is a ballad in the middle of a relatively engaging movie, but there's still interesting things happening during the ballad.
Yeah.
But this is like the time of studio culture where a studio executive who might have been Jeffrey Katzenberg said, let's cast Julia Roberts as Harriet Tubman. So this is what we're working with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Studio heads.
Yeah, that's true. And this, like, incredibly last-minute decision resulted in the way that they had to, like, remove this ballad being so jarring. Like, they literally just yanked it out, and it's not even, like, edited well. Like, it's a jump.
There is no transition between the two scenes when you don't have that song.
Yeah, it goes conversation and then Muppets crying, and there's no, like,
Yeah.
and the scene has been restored in some versions, and by restored, that really just means haphazardly spliced back into the movie, for some, like, VHS things or some DVDs, not the Blu-ray, not other DVDs, not other VHSs. And this month, it was revealed by Brian Henson, that they have found the original film negatives of that cut sequence, and they are going to fully reintegrate it back into the movie, like the way that it was intended in the future, which is fantastic.
Well, and there were releases pre-theatrical release of the VHS.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the VHS that my family had the song on it because I
Yes.
know the song.
Yeah. It really was a crapshoot of, like, what you had in your house, like what was correct.
Yeah, what Muppets we got laying around here?
Plenty.
And we're going to be watching it on Disney Plus, which doesn't have the song in the film, but it does have it as an extra. So we're gonna, like, stop and watch that, and then come back in, and so that we see the whole thing.
We gonna watch it all.
Yeah.
How it was intended to be seen.
And then we will be performing the song live for you on this podcast in
That's
the
true.
second half of the show.
We will be
would
hearing.
lose any listeners we even have right now.
We will be here. What if I told you we were going to be hearing Spooky Dark Spell's voice, and it was going to sound exactly like Whoopi Goldberg?
What else would Spooky Dark Spell sound like?
I mean, honestly.
Speaking of, I hear Spooky Dark Spell's got a special little holiday version
Spooky
of her
Dark
classic
Spell,
jingle.
I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you cook us up a little holiday version of your little
Yeah.
lo-fi beats to study to?
Throw some Christmas magic on that sauce.
Yeah,
Come on,
get
let's
some
do
Guys,
it.
I don't wanna
go to the break. That means I have to watch the scary movie.
All right, take it away, Spooky Dark Spell.
Take it away! Well, would you look at that? It's a Christmas miracle. That movie is exactly as great as I remember it being.
Yep.
Honestly,
It honestly is better.
Yeah, I think this might be a perfect movie. There is little that I can find to fault this movie for on any account.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
music is great, the cinematography is great, the production and puppet design is fantastic.
It's the
Performances
perfect
are wonderful.
It's the perfect story to graft the Muppets onto, I think. It's just like the opening is so indicative of like what I love about the craft and care that's put into these like Muppet movies, where so what it is it's a long tracking shot through London as we're kind of going through, and there's all these people running around and shops and people in windows and stuff.
Well, not actually London.
Well, yeah,
Muppet London.
Muppet London. Yeah, old-timey Muppet London.
They play very fast and loose with the perspective on the sets, and
It's
beautiful.
so good.
It's
I
so
love
pretty.
it.
Yeah, it feels like the word Christmas visually.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how the split up on Muppet extras and human extras is like 50-50. Like even when you barely see someone in a window, there's a 50-50 chance that's a Muppet who's like doing something.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
I mean,
so great.
it's the Sesame Street ratio of like this world where humans and Muppets live together, and it's not really debated why they are the same or different.
I actually thought about this exact thing when the movie started, where it was like, this is a world in which these two factions coexist, but they behave as if there is no difference between the two of them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think as a child you watch it and you don't see any difference between.
No, you just accept it because it's so well done to the point where like, because so many lesser like imitators of this sort of thing, the only puppets you ever see are the four in the foreground, and that creates the cognitive dissonance. But this is just like, it's a world.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's so well fleshed out and so well established that you don't even think that, like, this is a world that you're trying to sell me on. It's just like, no, I'm taking a little trip to Muppet Town. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of it as that. I think I just look at him like, yes, 1890s London.
It's also very...
Exactly how it used to look.
It also is very, like, brutally... the class divide is very apparent.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's,
my favorite character is the little rabbit who goes and carols at his shop, and then he like throws the wreath at him, and then you see him a couple other times, and he's just like having a real bad time. He's just like asleep in a bundle of newspapers outside in the cold. I'm like,
He's
bro,
the one that gets the goose.
Yeah.
The one that's two sizes as big as me.
So it's definitely something that I love about this adaptation, and why I genuinely think this is the best adaptation of A Christmas Carol.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it is.
It really doesn't shy away from the darker elements of the story. Like, it really sells them. And, I mean, you know, they don't skirt around the death of Tiny Tim or the wealth divide, or, like, it's all really there.
This is a socialist movie. Don't let anyone tell you differently.
It's true.
But honestly, I think that it makes it... Because a lot of family movies will try to scrub that from their films, and I think that's what makes it feel disingenuous, especially in Muppet reboots, because it's all sunshine and rainbows, and it's not really the same sort of soul that it used to have. I think I really appreciate this film for being bold in the way that it's like, Loki's showing you some pretty horrific stuff, especially when, you know, Ebenezer Scrooge is kneeling at his own grave, basically begging for his life.
And
It still works because, I mean, my mom's favorite part of the movie is when Gonzo and Rizzo are like, this part's too scary, we'll see you later.
We'll meet back up with you at the end. I
really
think
funny.
Just like to speak on Gonzo and Rizzo. So Gonzo and Rizzo are the quote unquote like narrators of this story. Gonzo is Charles Dickens and Rizzo is Rizzo.
Rizzo's just Rizzo.
Amazing.
Wonderful.
I think that these two are maybe the most like naturally funny that the Muppets movies have ever been. I think that their back and forth is so genuinely, like, I was laughing out loud at, I mean, the moment when they're like trying to get over jumping over the fence, and
that's my favorite.
Rizzo is like standing 50 feet high on this fence, and Gonzo's like, don't worry, I'll catch you, and then Rizzo just like lunges and just goes poof, into the snow, and then gets up and he's like, "Oh, I left my jelly beans on the other side." Walks immediately through the bars, grabs his jelly beans, walks back through the bars of the fence.
Gonzo just looks at him like, "You stupid idiot."
Yeah, and there's the button on it is so good because Gonzo's just staring him down, and then Rizzo just goes and kisses him on the beak. And it's so good.
It's wonderful. I really enjoyed that, like, I had an old VHS that was called, like, Muppet Classic Theater or something. That also had a lot of stories that were, like, framed around Gonzo and Rizzo, showing you these classic tales that went through, like, Rumpelstiltskin.
I had that too. I used to watch that constantly. It was The Emperor's New Clothes was in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was obsessed with that one, and I think that they just refined that duo so well that it's what makes this movie sing.
Yeah. And it's Gonzo and Rizzo are also, aren't they like the kind of primary duo in Gonzo's movie, the sci-fi one where he meets his space family? I think people don't talk about that duo that much, but they are really naturally hilarious.
They're like on a line. They're on a line to where at any moment cutting back to them could completely remove you from the story because of how sort of zany they are.
Yeah.
But the humor of like the understanding of who those characters are is so good.
Yeah.
That it never pulls you away from the actual story.
I also love, and I think it's done here better than in any other Muppets thing as well. The conceit of the Muppets are the actors and like the crew making this movie, because like there's that moment when they get pushed. I think it's one of the times they get pushed out of a window. It's a time when Gonzo takes a big hit and like collapses, and then Rizzo is like, "Oh, Gonzo, I mean Charles Dickens, are you okay?" And it's like, that's so good. I love it.
Yeah, it's really delightful because especially in the opening credits, the Muppets are credited as themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the first Muppet movie not to star Kermit the Frog as a central, like.
Yeah, I mean he's Bob Cratchit, but he's not Scrooge, and he's not
the main character.
He's not Scrooge, and he's not Dickens.
But the other thing is that I've read that Brian Henson wanted Gonzo and Rizzo to be sort of the framing device for this, so he could include the original prose of A Christmas Carol, which I think is really smart because it's beautiful.
Yeah, and
especially for kids, like that's how I sort of knew A Christmas Carol before I could really read it myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's
and they even recommend that you read it at the end of the movie. I think there's also I love just speaking to how they cast the Muppets in this. I think it's brilliant. I think some of them are obvious. I mean, Kermit as Bob Cratchit is fantastic. Miss Piggy as his wife turns that character into a character, which is great. I think it's a great build up to who's playing the quote unquote the Marleys, because it's a changed line, right? The Marleys were dead to begin with because they changed it from one Marley to two, so that it could be Statler and Waldorf.
Because it's perfect.
Yeah, it's so good.
One thing that I do want to bring up,
and I'm going to raise your.
I'm gonna raise my fist to your face or something. I forgot what it was.
I would like to propose a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vis-a-vis Muppet genetics.
Okay.
So Kermit and Miss Piggy.
Yeah.
They
This
are
is the eternal
wed.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, they are
But
wed.
the thing is, their daughters are pigs.
Mm-hmm.
Their sons are frogs.
So what you're
Does
asking?
this mean the two genders are frog and pig?
I think that's exactly what it means.
You're either frog, pig, or a human.
Yeah. Though there's male pig. There's that male pig guy.
Yeah. So
fancy-
what does that
fancy man.
mean?
I don't know.
That's a different kind of pig, though.
But is
okay.
he transgender?
Possible.
Possible. Now, to bring this back, now are all frogs
No.
and pigs
Rat
genders?
coward.
I
Speaking
bring
of
this perfect question to the podcast about Muppet genetics, and you ruin it with squares and rectangles.
as it must always be. And I mean, God, the fact that can we talk about the music for a second?
Oh,
Because
it's beautifully composed.
It's great. It again sounds like Christmas, which is a lot harder to do than it seems. It is also like the task of not only making a good Muppets Christmas Carol soundtrack, but a good musical version of A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
these are all original songs that are, I don't think any of them are specifically Muppet based. Like
No.
they're all just songs for the story of A Christmas Carol, and they all land.
Yeah.
Even the interstitials, I was actually like scrolling through the credits on IMDb on my phone because first off, I didn't take any notes for this entire movie because I know it like the back of my hand. I could probably do a one-person show. But I was looking up who the bassoonist was. Because some of the interstitials were just so beautiful that I was like, who is that on bassoon? Because they did a good job.
If we're just kind of running through some things that we love about this, can I just mention that? Well, okay, we should bring this up now. Is that Michael Caine as Scrooge?
I also wanted to bring up Sir Michael
Yeah.
Caine's wonderful performance.
It's a stellar Scrooge performance. I was looking up like some facts and stuff about this movie, and Michael Caine talked about playing Scrooge for this, and he said that when he was approached for the role, he said, "All right, if I do this, I am not going to Muppet it up. I am not going to
Yes.
to ham it up for the camera. I'm not going to do these big plays. I'm going to play it as Scrooge."
I
And
actually
Brian
know
Henson
the
was like,
quote
"Yeah,
that
well,
you're
what is
talking
the
about.
actual?
He
What
said
is the
that
actual quote?"
I'm going to play this movie as if I was working with the Royal Shakespeare Company.
Exactly. And it shows. Like he's giving a really amazing performance throughout the entire thing. It's great.
I think it allows all of the Muppet characters to function at their best because he's not sort of stealing any of that energy. He's allowing them to have their own sort of space
Yeah.
in terms of the way that they're going
Well,
to
it
act.
makes the world more believable because he doesn't really feed off of them.
Yeah.
No, he feeds off of them in the sense, and I think it's also smart that once we get past Statler and Waldorf, each of the ghosts of past, present, and future aren't Muppet characters. They're new Muppet creations that aren't. It's not Sam the Eagle as the Ghost of Christmas Past. It's they play
Even
the
though
right.
he is the headmaster.
Even though he is the headmaster,
Well-
he also has one of my favorite lines in the movie, which is
I was literally about to
The
bring
yeah,
that up.
where he's like, "It's time to go become a businessman. It's the American way." And then Gonzo walks over and he's like, and he's like, "It's the British
British
way."
The British way. What I love about that scene specifically is, and it ties to Michael Caine's performance in terms of he is playing it seriously as if he was in a drama, on stage or, in a dramatic adaptation of the book for film. Is it allows the Muppet humor to stick out in like a really wonderful way.
Yeah.
Like the line where Sam the Eagle, he goes, "You will be a great man of business." The way he keeps emphasizing business. Like if Michael Caine had been playing to like that level of sort of absurdism, then like those things wouldn't stand out and get laughs. I don't think.
And I think that
Well,
also speaks to how well the text suits the Muppets in that it is stylized and kind of elevated, but it's still very dramatic. I think quotes like, then what is the actual, they should hurry up and die and decrease the surplus population. Lines like that are, you can play them very straight, but they also do have an element of elevated humor to it that I think really works for this kind of half Muppet, half human world.
This was Brian Henson's directorial debut,
Crazy.
which I think is crazy. Because imagine working with Sir Michael Caine on your directorial debut. Like, that's fucking crazy.
Terrifying. Sir Michael Caine and Kermit the Frog.
Yeah. Well, Kermit,
Yeah, extended family.
his cousin. But I think that it's directed in such a way that treats every facet of this film with such care and wonder
Yeah.
that makes it so that you buy into the world immediately.
He was. I'm looking at it right now. He was 29 years old.
Oh my god.
Goals.
That's so
for real.
good. And was this the first, I don't know the timeline super well, was this the first like Muppet feature film that wasn't at
Yes,
all
this was the
involved
first
with- Yeah,
major Muppet movie that was after Jim Henson passed.
right.
So,
That's
So
why is the in memoriam is at the beginning of the film.
yes.
Yeah,
He died pretty much in production of this movie. I mean, I was going to talk about how new Muppets have sort of lost this tenderness
Yeah.
because there's a fine line to be walked that's very difficult to walk but the Muppets did it so well for so long. That is the line between family friendly and completely scrubbed of anything.
Yeah, and the Muppets, yeah, because a lot of people, they look at the Muppets and they treat it like SNL, or they treat it like, you know, like it's a sketch comedy troupe, which I guess to an extent they are, but
Yeah.
that's not where
And they definitely
work
used
best.
to be, like, on the Muppet Show. It was definitely more of that. But when you're making a feature that surrounds them, you can't treat them as such.
Yeah.
You have to treat it like it's treated in this movie, where it's like, we have this cast of characters, we have these different stocks. Where would it's almost like a commedia dell'arte type of thing.
Yeah.
Where they have these roles that they have to fill, and they have these stock characters to fill the roles, and they are doing the math of what stock character should this personality play that will make it interesting.
Yeah.
You also then you have to kind of treat them as actors. You know?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
And I don't think that any Muppet movie in recent years has been successful at doing that, because they honestly haven't tried. They're all just being like, haha, it's Kermit the Frog playing Kermit the Frog. And that's a lot less enjoyable.
I think that the initial Muppets reboot, the what was it,
2011?
11?
Jason
Yeah.
Segel?
With
Yeah, but
Jason
I
Segel?
actually really like that movie. I think
good.
I think it does a good job of what we're talking about, and I think that everything that followed it doesn't.
Yeah.
But it's
What are you talking about? You don't like the Happy Time murders?
ugh,
No,
Christ.
Lord.
That's you know what's really sad about that is Brian Henson also directed that, which is I feel
Really?
like the
Did he?
greatest. Yeah, he did. Which is
Huh.
like the greatest misunderstanding of the Muppets. You know?
Damn.
Yeah.
It kind of bums me out a little bit.
Yeah, I was
sorry
going to
to
say,
bum
that
y'all
just made
out.
me really sad.
Well, not every experiment's gonna work.
Yeah, you
It's
know.
true. Yeah.
I love Animal's little moment in this, where it's during the Christmas party,
It's
during
so
the during
wonderful.
the during the Christmas past flashback. He's the drummer at the Christmas party, and his only job is to hit a triangle very lethargically, and he's just like sitting really angrily, like, ding. It's just like, it's little stuff like that that just shows this huge amount of immersion in the world and investment in the world and understanding of all of these different players that it exists throughout. Also, can we talk about the song that got cut out? Because why?
Yeah, let's talk about
It's
that.
insane.
It's
like,
insane that you would ever cut
I
that
was
out.
having an in-depth discussion about this with my family, about what would make that scene so controversial is that it's real human intimacy in a way that, like, I don't think a lot of children would understand. So in that regard, I get it. But they also reprise the song afterwards at the end of the movie.
yeah, they do like the pop cover of it.
Have a pop cover in the credits.
Yeah.
Oh, that pop
And
cover is not good. Also, that's the
It's
only thing about this
fine.
movie that I don't
It's
like,
fine.
It's
in the
not good
credits.
and it's not even in the movie.
in relation to the actual song.
And also, I think that watching that as a child was almost how I started to develop my sense of... It was the first exposure I had to a dramatic relationship conflict in media that was still made for kids.
Yeah, which is a big part of the job of kids media is preparing
Yes,
you
is to
for
teach kids how to be an adult, you know?
yeah.
Right.
And I mean, God, just on a film entertainment as like in general
It's
level,
beautiful.
It's beautiful, and the shot. So it's the love of Scrooge's life, who he let get away because he drifted and was only in his work, and Scrooge. It's her singing about how he doesn't love her anymore, and it's time for them to leave each other. And there is this beautiful shot where Michael Caine Scrooge is standing behind her, and as she's singing, and he's like trying to connect with her, and he's just breaking down, and it's beautiful.
His
and
performance is so good. It is
Yeah.
so beautiful.
I think this movie would not be nearly as perfect as it is without Michael Caine. Like,
No.
I think that casting was so amazing. And honestly, Michael Caine has said in interviews that it's still, like, one of his favorite roles he's ever done.
yeah.
And I think that really shows that you can take this very serious, dramatic actor and put him in something that seems like it's childish, but children's media should not be childish.
Yeah.
It's directed with a sense of childlike wonder, which is lovely, but the fact that this scene is so intense and so heartbreaking shows that, like, children's media does not have to be all squeaky clean, all happy joy, because that's not the way the world works, and it makes the movie better for it.
Yeah, I mean the tenor of this film, it's sorrowful and it's just infused with so much regret, and I think that's important to
For the
show a
message of the
cautionary
movie.
tale. Yeah, to show like this is, you don't want to become this.
Like, that's kind of the whole point, is that
Yeah.
he sees the love of his life leave him again.
Yeah.
Relives probably one of his most painful moments, and he's like, oh shit, like,
Yeah.
I need to get myself together.
Also, every horrible moment in this man's life happened on a Christmas.
Yeah,
Seriously.
poor guy. I mean, no wonder he hates Christmas.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Muppet designs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that I want to talk about in here, because a puppeteering enthusiast, not even just a Muppet enthusiast, have built myself several puppets and worked with many in different professional avenues, and I just think there is a level of polish to the way that these are designed that you can't find in any other puppeteering pantheon.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And, like, the designs of the three spirits are so good.
They're so good. Can we talk about them one at a time? Can we
Yes.
start
So
with
let's talk
Christmas
about
Past?
Ghost of Christmas Past.
Yeah.
So it was a sort of baby doll-esque face puppet that is surrounded by tulle and tissue and organza that they filmed floating in a tank of water and like 2% glycerin.
Yeah, to get the hair
Against a green
floating
screen.
and the
Yeah, against a green screen to get like the floaty airiness that it has. And they were able to like pull it off really well in 1992, which is really impressive.
There are a lot of like effects in this, of digital
Yes.
effects in this, that are so good. Like they're
Yeah.
really solid.
Like the
Marley and
transparent
Marley.
nature of both Marleys.
We're Marley
Really
and
amazing.
Marley.
Like, I was trying to figure out kind of how they did that for a little bit of like, because they have this glow around them that's really cool, and I was like, what was the technology that they were editing on in 1992 that allowed them to even begin to do this?
Yeah, and then we've got Ghost of Christmas Present, who is
It's just perfect.
yeah. So he starts out as this massive, like hulking
The
felt
size changing
Muppet.
thing is what's
He's-
amazing about
Yeah,
it.
he's basically he's the big fat, big bearded, like happy guy, and he's constantly aging throughout his existence because he only lives for like 2 hours or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's stuck in the present.
Yeah, he's always in the present, and it's so good. I also just love. I'm not sure how much of it is Muppet stuff and how much of it is just straight the book dialogue. But the fact that he, like when he takes him on the journey to where they're headed, like to Bob Cratchit's house or whatever, and Scrooge points out where they are after the guy has just told him. He's like, "How do you know that?" He's like, "Because you just told me." And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm usually pretty trustworthy. Let's go." It's like,
So wonderful.
it's just great.
One of my favorite things about Ghost of Christmas Present is that a lot of the size changing isn't even... They did have multiple bodies for it, but a lot of it's forced perspective,
Yeah.
which
yeah.
is super cool. And, like, having miniature sets and things like that to, like, give this bumbling big old guy just, like, the most wonderful sense of scale. It's really cool. And also him just saying, "Know me better, man."
Know
makes
me
Yeah.
very happy.
And also the back and forth he at first has with Scrooge, where he's like, "Did I say that already? Yes, you did." And then like 2 minutes later, "Did I say that already?
Like,
Yes, you did."
"Hello, know me better, man." He's like, "You just said that."
This is when I think these especially these sort of first moments with the Ghost Christmas Present is when you get seeds of where Michael Caine's character arc is headed, because he
Yeah.
he cracks a smile and he cracks a joke back at him.
His whole song is so joyful that Michael Caine can't help but do a little boogie. Like,
Yeah.
Scrooge begins to dance in this scene, and I think that's something that is only because his performance, the performance of this puppet, is so infectious that it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, of course it could get to Scrooge's cold dead heart, because, like, look at him.
And you buy it. Like it doesn't
absolutely.
feel like a kid's character dancing,
Right.
like Jack Black dancing with the Sesame Street characters or whatever. Like it feels earned, and it's great. I think, and this is just a compliment to the book itself, which is obviously great, but it's such a smart way of staggering the ghosts and like in what order they are and how they approach Scrooge, because Scrooge really likes this guy, and then the immediate transition away from him is that it's so much colder and so much harsher, and oh boy, is the Ghost of Christmas Future terrifying to look at.
Oh my god, yes.
Still scary.
But I think that, like, the death of the Ghost of Christmas Present is almost like a Buddhist teaching in this thing. Because it's like, you have this peak of joy that you reach in the middle of his song, and you're dancing, and he's the most happy man you've ever seen in your entire life. And then it's like, okay, I'm going, and he seems fine. He's just like, okay, bye, see you later. And he, like, glitters away. So yeah, the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come.
I will say,
honestly, it's existentially frightening.
Yeah, not as visually scary as the Ghost of Christmas Past. I'm gonna put that out there. Ghost of Christmas Past is very weird to look at.
I remember, I think being when I was little, I would always say that the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come was the one that was scary to me, and then my brother, who's a lot older than me, would say that the Ghost of Christmas Past is scary to him, and now I get it. Now I understand why he said that when I was little.
It's very scary. This puppet, for those who have not seen it, the design for the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come is a puppet that sits on top of somebody's head and shoulders. Somebody who seems to already be rather tall. I think the Muppeteer that they had was like 5'10" or so. So it's this giant looming structure that they're wearing on top of their head and shoulders. And it's an empty face. Like, there's a shroud around where a head would be that is starched and stiffed to be, like, on its own. But where the face should be is nothing. Yeah.
And it's also the
prosthetic hands.
Yeah, the hands are great.
Oh, the prosthetic hands make me want to throw up every time
and also,
he, like, grabs his shoulder.
The robe itself is designed to look like one of those, like, church statues.
It looks like a statue, yeah.
So at first you're not 100% sure if Scrooge has just been startled by a statue or if it's a ghost.
It's painted to look like carved stone on, like, the relief of it. But I think the design of this and the fact that it just points places is so terrifying, but also, like, really smart, because I feel like if they had a big scary voice, you lose all the kids.
Yeah, it's
because they're already terrified.
That would be nothing, you know. Like, I feel like I'd be a lot less scared of it if he had a big booming voice. I think that the fact that, because it makes it feel a lot more final, is that he's not yelling at Scrooge. He's not telling him you must change. He's just going, this is your future.
Right. Yeah, he's just like all you have to do is look at this to understand.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it is.
Well, and at this point, the audience sort of reaches the point that Scrooge does at the same time when we get to this ghost that's like, you don't need any new information. Yeah. You have gathered all the new information that you need from Christmas Past and Christmas Present. And now you just have to see what the result is going to be, and it's not going to be pretty.
If Jeff Katzenberg hated having two humans sing a sad song for 2 minutes, I cannot imagine the uphill battle that it was to clear Kermit and Miss Piggy grieving over their dead son for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's hard. But again, I think this is a shining example of what old Muppet movies were able to do to not scrub the movie clean of all of its dramatic interest, because it's a family movie. Yeah. And it still works. And I watched it when I was a kid, and I turned out just fine. Yeah. Shut up.
And I think you're absolutely right. And I think that the other movie, like the movie that I watched on repeat constantly as a little kid, was Muppets Treasure Island.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh, I want to watch all the Muppet movies now.
We should. We can find Tim Curry's in it. That makes it a horror movie. But I think that Muppets Treasure Island is not nearly as effective as Christmas Carol is. I think pretty much solely for the reason that it doesn't have the same emotional through line that Christmas Carol does. I think that Muppets Christmas Carol is first and foremost a deeply emotional retelling of A Christmas Carol, and also the Muppets just make it better.
But I think in this movie you can really see the scope of what the Henson Creature Workshop was able to produce, because you have things like the Muppets, like Fraggle Rock, like Dark Crystal, and this is sort of, you have all of those styles in one. You have
It is, yeah.
very Muppety things, very Fraggle Rock things, and very scary giant men who remind me of the things that terrified me in Dark Crystal.
You know, now that I think about it, the Ghost of Christmas Past looks very much like the nice people from the Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
I forget what their
It's
race is
basically
called.
the same facial design for that race of monkey person thing.
except in this, she's meant to be horrifying, or not horrifying, but haunting.
Uncanny. I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
If you were a Muppet, what Muppet would you be?
I would hope, on my best day, I would hope that I'm Kermit.
Yeah.
Kermit
but you
is
look like
genuinely-
all the Muppets.
I
is
do.
the
I
problem.
do. I look like the middle slider before you start adjusting what your Muppet looks like. Like I'm.
No, you look like a middle slider between human and Muppet.
There we go. I'm midway between Jason Segel and
Yeah, I
his
was about to
Jason
say,
Segel Muppet.
You should have been the Jason Segel character in the Muppet movie, because people would be like, "Oh yeah, is he a man? Is he a Muppet? I can't really tell."
No, this is a genuine fact about me, is that Kermit the Frog is an actual role model of mine.
No, I
role
totally
model.
can see
He
that.
is.
Yeah.
And I think just another. I don't want to harp on it for too long, but another thing that's great about him being cast as Bob Cratchit is that his monologue when he's talking about the loss of his son, it's beautiful. Like it's
heartbreaking.
I think about that scene where him and Tiny Tim are rolling up to their house, and Tiny Tim's on his shoulder, and they're doing the song together.
Which is also a great effect.
The musical
shot.
performance of it is beautiful. It's amazing. But it's like so somehow really emotionally effective as well.
Oh, that's my favorite
Yeah.
part of the movie. I rewatch that scene pretty often. Also because its technical prowess is insane, because they had a moving walkway that they had. Like, this is the first time you see a full body walking shot of Kermit the Frog ever.
Oh wow.
really, I
It
didn't
was
know
the
that.
first time they had done it, and the mechanics of this shit are crazy. I mean, the mechanics of the whole thing are wild, because the entire set of London is raised off of the ground like 3 feet.
Yeah, because
Because people have to be underneath it.
did not
So
even think about
figuring
that,
out
but
how
yeah.
you get a puppet to travel down a lane while still being able to control the puppet from underneath is a nightmare.
And it's not even just like making him walk. It's making him walk in step with like a rhythm that is like
Yes,
and
he's dancing.
Yeah.
And it takes a level of like directorial strength from coming from a first time director. It's crazy that it like to say no, we need that shot that
To
way.
commit to solving
You
that
know.
problem. And I think
Yeah.
that's why I love puppeteering in general, is because there's a lot of problem solving in puppeteering, of how you hide a person, how you operate things correctly, how this, that, the other. And I think that's what makes it fun, is because it's almost like a logic puzzle for artists.
Yeah.
So Brian is Kermit. Nolan, who do you think you are?
Well, it's interesting because I must just be calmer or more reasonable around some of my other friends, because a lot of my other friends would say I was Kermit, which I think is
No.
just strange. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
I
saying.
love you
I'm-
dearly, but no.
That's what I'm saying. I think I'm very different around you two than I am around other people. I would say Rizzo the Rat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see that. I would
But
also
I love Rizzo.
my initial
He's just having a good time.
my initial thought was also the middle slider between Kermit and Animal.
Yes.
That could be true. Yeah.
But Rizzo's solid.
Yeah,
I mean, I think Rizzo
because
fills
I
that space.
I genuinely would, like, we'd be trying to get over a fence, and I'd have a bag of jelly beans, and I'd leave them on the other
Guys,
side
I
and
forgot my jelly.
freak out about jumping over the fence, and then just, oh, I forgot my jelly beans, and step
Oh,
through and then
God.
step back.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I don't know what Muppet I would be. I definitely used to be Animal. Maybe Fozzie Bear.
Yes.
I could see Fozzie Bear.
That you nailed it.
I also could be Snuffleupagus, if you count that as a Muppet.
No, we cannot. I mean, yes, but
I mean, it's made by the same people. Who cares?
yeah. I also have a question.
Yes.
A Christmas Carol is a fantastic Muppets template.
Yes.
Treasure Island is great as well. What
I
would
know.
be your Muppets adaptation of an existing story?
Oh, I was hoping we would talk about this. Oh my god.
I've got
Give me a
one.
second to think. Go for it.
I want to do Muppets Les Mis.
Okay, real quick. Kermit's Jean Valjean, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Oh god, wait. I'm thinking about that for longer than 10 seconds, though. It gets really depressing.
It gets really dark.
It gets really
Because
sad.
who's...
I don't want
I'm
to
gonna
cast
leave,
the
I'm
rest
gonna
of it
leave the
because you have
audience-
to
I'm
kill
gonna
your
leave the
darlings.
audience with that.
Yeah.
I think they do really well in things that are like semi-folk tales because
Yeah.
it's the commedia dell'arte thing of having a stock character that doesn't really have that much of a personality except for a few defining character traits that the personality of the Muppet then takes on, which I
Yeah.
think is what makes it the most interesting.
Let's run through a couple here. The first one I thought of when I was thinking about this, and I also saw a TikTok about this, but I thought of this before that, is the Muppets Frankenstein.
That
Yes.
That would be
where
very cool.
Frankenstein's monster is the only non-Muppet character, and everyone else is
Oh,
Muppets.
interesting.
That's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, obviously Kermit, Dr. Franken, like all the
Right.
roles just fill out when Miss Piggy
Right,
is
when you
obviously
start
his
thinking about it,
fiance, and yeah.
That has a lot of Muppet biology that would have to be
He's got
gently skirted around.
Wait, no, he should have like one Muppet hand, or like his body is like 30% Muppet.
Weirdly, he's
That
like
would be
weirdly
terrifying,
plush in
and you
places.
know it.
I have another one.
Yeah,
I think
go.
like
Muppet Sleepy Hollow.
yes,
Oh, okay. Who's
that's
Ichabod?
good.
It can't be Kermit because
Sam the Eagle, Fozzie.
Fozzie.
Fozzie. Yeah, because
Yeah.
like Sam the Eagle's too like. Kermit's too good. Ichabod has to kind of be like a little bit like what, like what?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Why
Yeah.
are you doing that? And that's
Yeah,
Fozzie.
Yeah.
Dune, but it's the Muppets.
Wait, what was? Oh wait, whoa, Pride and
Pride and
Prejudice.
Prejudice and Muppets. Sorry.
Yes.
what were you saying? Wait, is that what you were
That's
gonna say?
literally what I said.
Did we say it at the same time?
Yes, we said it at the same time. I was like, wait a second.
Oh, that's so good.
Wuthering Heights, but it's the Muppets.
Oh my god, who's okay, it would be hilarious if Heathcliff was the only human and he just violently hates these Muppets.
Oh my god. Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
Jesus.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
I was gonna
Okay,
say,
Kermit's obviously Atticus.
Yeah, but like, would it address the racism? Would
How-
it
that's
address
I
the
was gonna
lynchings?
say like Gone with the Wind, but then like you just get into very
Great
strange
Gatsby.
territory.
Are the
That would
Muppets
be
the
I'm
one-
thinking of just like English
But
class
Kermit
books.
is Nick Carraway. Kermit is Nick Carraway.
Yes.
Oh shit! And
Wait,
suddenly
who's Gatsby?
everything.
Who's Gatsby? Fozzie, potentially.
No.
No,
Sam the
Absolutely
Eagle.
not.
Gonzo.
Gonzo.
It's Gonzo. Yeah, absolutely.
Gonzo.
It's Gonzo.
And he's still got
Who's
Rizzo.
Daisy? Daisy's Miss Piggy.
Wait, does that make
Wait,
Is
no.
Daisy Miss Piggy? Daisy or Miss Piggy is Jordan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love The Great Gatsby. So
I think.
What
Little
if
Women
this
would
was
actually be a good
the
one.
one adaptation of The Great Gatsby where they cast Gatsby as a black man, which was the original intent?
well, actually, I think if you did The Great Gatsby, Gatsby being the one human would be.
Imagine the party scene.
Oh my god, yeah. I'm
it's
imagining
all
just
the-
like one dude surrounded by a bunch of partying Muppets, and it's the best thing I've ever
That's
thought.
So good.
But it's
think-
kind of like Scrooge in this, where he's kind of like the object of everyone's attention in a way.
I do think, and I think this is kind of the lesson that we've been kept coming back to throughout this, is that your central character, the emotional core, should be an amazing human actor. You got to get Michael Caine. You got to get somebody who can do that.
So I'm really on this. I'm really loving this Muppets Great Gatsby in my.
Yeah, me too. It's really good.
Who do we cast as our Gatsby in our Muppet?
Yeah, who's the human
Who's the
actor?
human
who's
Gatsby?
playing Gatsby?
Yeah, who's the human Gatsby?
That's
Man,
Michael B.
you know
Jordan.
the
Yes, you got it. It's Michael B.
That's
Jordan.
a good choice.
Got it in one.
That's the thing that makes me so mad about the Baz Luhrmann Great
Yeah.
Gatsby from 2013 is that it's like perfectly cast, and that's what they did with it.
Yeah.
That's the movie they made.
Yeah.
I hate
You
that
know,
movie.
I did not think that this conversation of Muppets Christmas Carol would end with discussing Baz
Baz
Luhrmann's
Luhrmann's-
failings as a director for Great Gatsby, but it feels right.
Little Women.
Yep.
Yeah.
though
Oh,
there
can
aren't
you
enough.
hear Kermit come in? He says, "Oh, my Little Women."
So it's Miss Piggy, the chicken, and
Well, there are plenty of other female Muppets somewhere.
there's the woman in the
Make 'em.
Sweet Tooth Band.
Yes.
Janice?
But
Is her name Janice?
Janice,
Janice.
yeah.
And I think that, like,
We have Skeeter.
it has the structure almost like A Christmas Carol that has, like, some really funny, good times, but it also, you know, has the death of Beth, who is, like,
Yeah.
one of the sisters, and it's really hard for them. And, like, I think that would actually be a really good Muppet movie. Wait, guys, I have the perfect one. Muppets 1984.
I had thought about saying that. I was thinking about that. Because I had also thought about Animal Farm as well.
Yeah.
Animal Farm, but they're all animal.
Oh my god.
Oh, no.
I have a question. A classic movie that you want to see reenacted by the Muppets.
Ooh,
Pirates
that's a
of the
good one.
Caribbean.
Okay.
Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one.
I haven't seen it.
The
Shining.
Ooh, that was a good choice. That was a really good choice.
Wait.
Oh,
We have to
shit.
talk about Muppets The Shining.
Okay,
Because it would
can I-
be so good.
Could I please lobby for Fozzie in the lead role?
Yes. Jack Torrance is Fozzie.
Yeah, Jack Torrance is Fozzie.
But Miss Piggy does not work as...
No.
Though, that might be a good thing.
Beaker.
No, okay, wait. Hear me out, though. Hear me out.
No, that is the right answer.
Beaker is Shelley Duvall.
Okay, I am imagining Beaker in a Shelley Duvall wig, and I'm losing my mind.
It's
But
so good.
hear me out here. Jack fucking comes at Miss Piggy with the axe, and Miss Piggy just goes, ha ha, and like breaks the axe in
Yeah.
half, kicks him down the stairs.
That's so good.
Oh, shit.
Wendy.
Absolutely not.
Waka,
Wait, okay,
waka.
real quick. The twins are Statler and Waldorf.
Yes, absolutely. There's no question.
I'm just picturing Statler and Waldorf with the little blue dresses on.
You do
Oh my God,
understand that
oh my
I'm
God.
going to make you do a Photoshop
I
snap for the
understand
video.
I'm going to be
The
very busy on
bartender?
Photoshop.
Instead of the bartender in the scene, it's the Swedish chef.
You cracked it. Now it's gonna get made.
I have to
Yep.
do this. I don't think you guys understand. I think I found my calling. I have to make this
Holy
movie.
shit. Oh my god.
Somebody
incredible.
call Brian Henson. I need to talk
Okay, wait.
to him.
Here's one more pitch for Jack Torrance. Is that it's animal, but he starts out speaking in totally normal human language.
And he devolves
It's,
into...
it's honestly the origin story of Animal.
It's the animal origin story.
Oh,
Dark.
man.
I don't think we're gonna get better than that. Yeah, Muppets The Shining Muppets The Shining is the best one that you could possibly. That needs to get made.
I need to go make some phone calls, honestly. Because that's
Who's
all I've
Danny?
ever wanted to see.
The kid.
Yeah.
It's just Rizzo, and nobody will believe him that he's not a child. He's just a rat. He's just small.
Or Gonzo.
Yeah, it's
Who's
Gonzo.
like, and then like the little Tony thing he does is Rizzo.
There you
That's
go.
perfect.
Oh
That's
wait,
perfect.
yeah. Who's
And
the guy
and who's
who?
Dick Halloran? Who's
Yeah,
the, yeah.
Could that be Kermit?
I was gonna say, could that maybe be Kermit? But then we have to think Kermit
Then he has to
to
get-
die.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say
he has to
Kermit
see
has
that. This is
to
what I'm talking about.
Get seriously incapacitated in some form. So I gotta go make some phone calls, but you guys can wrap up the podcast without me.
Yeah, we'll just knock this out real quick. So
this-
it's the best. It's a good movie. It's a great movie. It's wonderful.
It's a technically perfect movie. You could ask me to fault any point in this movie, and I shall refuse because it's perfect.
And
Yeah.
I think it only gets better as you get older.
Yeah.
Actually.
I agree.
I cried.
absolutely agree. I think the existential horror gets darker. I think that the beauty of it gets brighter.
Yeah,
it
the
just gets
relief.
better.
The relief is even better.
Yeah. Drunk out of 5. You could watch this at any. You could watch this in any form.
Yeah,
It's just how much do
It
you want to
doesn't
cry?
matter.
If you watch this
Yeah.
wasted, you're gonna weep.
yeah, truly.
yeah. There's no.
I would say 5 hot cocos out of 5, though.
There you
It
go.
is a cozy ass movie.
5 cozy cocos out of 5.
If you don't mind, dear listener, if you could rate us on Apple Podcasts or like us on Spotify, it really does our podcast a great deal of help to get new listeners on board.
The greatest
We are
Christmas
chained to
present
this
of all.
desk.
We are chained to this desk. We cannot do it ourselves.
Yes, seriously.
You know what you also could do? You could give those YouTube videos a little bit of a like. or a
Yes,
little
Yeah,
you
comment.
can share with
yeah.
your friends. Put it on in
Subscribe
the
to the
background
YouTube
while you
channel.
study. It's fine.
You can maybe
it's
follow us on
good.
Instagram and send us some comments and some love there as well.
Lo-fi
at Ghoul
hip-hop
School
Muppet
Pod.
beats to relax and study to. So
Yeah.
I wanted to get that.
You can find us on Instagram at Ghoul School Pod. You can email us your movie suggestions or any of your thoughts at ghoulschoolofficial@gmail.com. And
Ghoul School Pod
see
is
you
another
soon.
different person's email. Don't
Yes.
send it to that.
Don't send it to ghoulschoolpod@gmail.com. That is not us.
Yeah.
We're the official ones.
Yes, we
We're
are
the-
the
yeah.
official ones.
It's right there in the name.
And I hope you have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah. This
Since
is our
this is
first.
coming out on
Krampus.
Christmas Eve.
This is our first Christmas, guys. Our first Christmas away from our families, chained to this desk.
I really do
And-
miss my mom, but
Yeah,
She
it's,
calls.
there are problems, but it's what better thing to make the season a little bit brighter than a
I have
Muppets
no one.
Christmas Carol?
Help me.
Okay.
Now listen to that, children.
listen to what?
It's just the hell bell.
Silence, you fools! Everybody knows that on Christmas Eve, the hell bell signifies that jolly old Saint Nick has finally arrived on our roof.
Oh, wow, really?
That's amazing.
Quite. Now, quickly, children, to your posts. He won't be getting away this time.
Oh my god.
He's gonna kill Santa.
And to you three, you've done excellent work this year. You should all be very proud.
Aw, thanks.
Thanks. That's cute.
Thanks.
I mean, you were supposed to be teaching math, but this has been fun too.
Yeah, we did not read the material before taking the job.
In any case, I think a Christmas bonus is in order. Here.
It's a key.
To unlock the chains that keep us eternally bound to this desk?
Oh! Ah! Ooh, so close. But no. No, that is a key to a mini fridge, which is filled to the brim with Fiji water! Huh?
Yeah, all right, that's still pretty good.
Ah, excellent! Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good... He's in the East Wing. Tally-ho!